Hey, it's Sid the Kid. I wanted to have a little conversation because some things came up today, and I was like, damn, I guess that's a different way of kind of looking at it. So, as most people know who know me, I was homeschooled basically my whole life. My mom took me out of first grade. It was just me and my older sister at the time. I was 6, she was 10. And they put me in remedial classes because I wasn't very good at reading. I was really good at math, but I really wasn't very good at I really wasn't good at reading. And they put me in a remedial class. Now, of course, my mother lost her shit and basically from then pulled me out of school. I mean, between you and me, she was yelling at people that weren't even my teacher. I'm like, I don't think that's her, but hey, I'm not. Who's arguing with an angry Jamaican lady? Not I. So, after, obviously homeschooling, I think originally it was a very, we only saw white people doing it. They were all very, very Christian, very conservative. It was kind of a different lifestyle than what we were used to living. And, I grew up, Christian, but it wasn't something super overbearing, at least not the way I was that I saw around me. And it's like the homeschool mom, at least in the early 90s, they had a whole fucking uniform. It was the jeans dress with the high socks with the floral undershirt and usually loafers. Just saying. So you could spot a homeschool mom from like a mile away, to be honest with you. And recently I was speaking to somebody and I was letting them know that I was homeschooled, and she was just like, but you're so well adjusted. And I was like, I didn't grow up in a cave. I wasn't eating my own shoulder. Like that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like, and then I realized as she it kind of explained it, she was like, well, I'm not trying to be offensive, but from what I know, homeschoolers don't have any social skills. And then on top of that, being in such a non-structured environment, I'm surprised you're able to hold down a job. Isn't it crazy how people say, I don't mean to be offensive, and then just come out and say some super offensive shit? Ha ha ha. It's funny. So, anyway, I digress. Basically, as she's kind of going on, letting me know what all of her reasonings were for not wanting to homeschool her kids, she was like, well, I wanted to be able to acclimate to society. How are you going to be able to hold down a job? How are you going to be able to be a normal person? How will you even get to places on time? And I was just like, Jesus, the thinking is just so small. Like, just because it's not traditional doesn't mean it doesn't work. And to be honest with you, I never homeschooled for more than I would say max 5 hours. And that's usually because it consisted of an outing. When I was being homeschooled, my mom would just take us to the park and she would give us our schoolwork. She's like, I don't care if you finish it in a tree. I don't care if you finish it under a rock. I don't care if you finish it in a cave. Finish it. And it made me realize that it doesn't matter how it gets done as long as the end result is still quality. You know what I mean? And it was just and it's funny because my people just thought that anybody who homeschools was just kind of doomed to not be successful. And, obviously Ivy League college was not for me. Look around, obviously. But my older sister ended up going to Wellesley College. And it just kind of goes to show you that you're the person that kind of puts the blockades around you as to what you can't and you can't do, or those you can and what you can't do. And I remember when my mom went to work, and she's an RN, and she would go to work, and especially being that I'm from Florida, it's a lot of Caribbean nurses. It's at least back then there was a lot of people of color at all of these hospitals, and my mother would be so proud saying, oh, my daughter just got into Wellesley, and from what I hear, because we didn't know until she got accepted that it was a big school, and she was like, I had no idea that it was so prestigious, and I'm so proud. And they're like, hi, I got sent her to a white school. Jesus Christ, what you gonna do? And I'm just like, that's pretty fucking ignorant. No? Like, how do you shit on somebody's dreams like that? And there's nothing wrong with going to a historically black college. There's nothing wrong with doing any of those things. I'm just saying, like, when somebody comes to you with good news, don't be a cunt. Like, that's horrible. It's so mean. Anyway, so, as I'm kind of having this conversation with this person and kind of letting them know my own life experiences and how it can be vastly different. There are homeschoolers now that have proms. They have everything that a regular going to school kid has that just wasn't available to me in 1994 when my mom started homeschooling us. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that we were able to have access to. And sadly, it was pretty easy to get ostracized within the homeschooled community because there weren't a whole lot of black people doing it in the first place. And the black people thought we were crazy, and then the white people were just like, what are you here for? So it was kind of getting it on both sides. And then, I homeschooled my whole life. I took my GED when I was 16. Unfortunately, in the good old US of A, if your parents make too much, you can't get any kind of financial aid, so you end up paying out of pocket. So I unfortunately could not go to college until I was 24 years old. Not that I didn't try, not for a lack of trying, but my mother was an RN and she made too much. But she also still had 5 kids to take care of, so she couldn't pay my tuition. So I had to wait until I was 24 where I was legally independent. Just a little crash course into how bullshit that kind of thing is. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. Let's do this. Hold on. Security.